Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 16, Episode 6, Power Rankings. This is Wild Spear, and today we'll be breaking down the top 11 episode of RuPaul's Drag Race to identify who are the true contenders for the crown. Let's go ahead and get started. If you're new to my channel, this is how I came up with my power rankings. Drag Race is obsessed with track records, as we all know, so a track record is one of the key points that we use to determine who the true contenders for the crown are, but also we have to think about the confessionals. How often are we seeing them on our screens? And then finally, the true story can't really be told with just track record and confessionals. It's really also just the vibes. So are we getting good vibes from these contestants or not? Do we think that the producers are giving these contestants good vibes or not? So that's the methodology that we use here, and let's get started. Last week, unfortunately, we had to say goodbye to Geneva Carr, and she was a lot of fun. She was all over the place with track record, as we know, from the top two to the bottom two to the bottom two again, to winning the challenge, to finally going home. So Geneva was an exciting part of the competition, certainly gave us an iconic track record, and we hope to see her again in the future. Go and support Geneva. In 10th place, I have Tsunami Muse. Tsunami is the one contestant this season that I feel like I still don't really know what she is good at, what she's known for. Who is Tsunami? We know about her history with Candy Muse, and we know that she is a dreamer, but other than that, she's really just been perpetually safe in the competition, which is why her track record is one of the lowest. And really, the queens aren't saying a whole lot about Tsunami, other than that she's there and that she was fierce at the start of the competition. And the editors of the show aren't really giving us a lot of content about Tsunami. I think that she really doesn't stand much of a chance if we don't start seeing much about her soon. So that's why I have her in the 10th place. In 9th place, I have Maya Iman LePage. I've said it before, I'll say it again, she is my favorite queen on this season. She's shy and outgoing, a fierce dancer, an amazing Cher impersonator, and maybe part frog. She's all over the place, and that's why we love Maya. I wish I could put her higher, but because of her track record and the way that the producers are treating her, I think that's why I have her second from the bottom. She's last in confessionals and last in track record, but the reason I have her above Tsunami is that we have seen more about Maya. She had an amazing lip sync last week that showed everyone why she's so amazing, and that's why I think that she's one above Tsunami this week, because we could see where she could go. If she could just put her skills to the right place, she could be one of the most fierce queens on this season, and I really hope that she does. But until she breaks out of her shell, she is not going to get there. Maybe she'll go crystal method on us and kill the remainder of the competition. And I certainly hope so, but for now, got Maya at number 9. In 8th place, I've got Megami. Megami's really been interesting because she went from one of the least seen queens of all time at the start to one of the sort of middle queens at this point. Last week, she had her breakout episode, winning the girl group challenge, and I think she was the main reason and the main driver of that win and got a lot of the credit, and should have gotten a lot of the credit for the win last week because of her contributions across the board. That's why I had her jumping from the bottom 2 weeks ago to now she's in 8th place. I still would love to get more content about her, and if the judges had started to give her a turning around storyline, she would have been in the top this week. But because she wasn't given that top placement, I still have her on the lower end here at number 8 this week. Morphine is at number 7 this week, and Morphine is interesting because she is the narrator of the season, but she's been safe in every single episode, every single one, 5 straight safe placements, which doesn't really bode well for Morphine, because beyond knowing what she has to say about the other queens and how she's feeling, we don't really know what Morphine does well. She dances well, we saw that in the first episode, She's a great confessional queen, but we need to know more about Morphine, and that's why I have her dropping this week to number 7. At number 6, I have Plasma. I had her at number 2 last week, which probably was an overreaction to her win and then high critiques last week. But for now, I have Plasma dropping to number 6 because they did give her that low placement this week. I do think putting Plain Jane and Geneva and Plasma in the tops and bottoms to get critiqued was a strategic choice because they all use the same fabric. I really don't think Plasma deserved that bottom placement other than maybe her scarf falling down. Her look was pretty solid and could have been easily safe. But that's why I have her dropping so low this week. We've seen it time and time again. Drag Race doesn't treat theater queens with much respect on the season if your name isn't Rosé, but even then, Rosé was pretty mistreated towards the end. So I put Plasma dropping down to number 6 this week. I think she still has a great chance with her track record, with the number of confessionals she's getting, to continue with the way that she's been going. But for now, I have her at number 6. At number 5, I have Dawn. Dawn is somebody who's going up this week because, like Morphine and like Tsunami, they've all been perpetually safe. And until this week, Dawn was in the same boat. But for now, she jumped up to number 5 because she did finally snatch the high placement in the most recent episode. A lot of people thought she was going to win. I think Q was a worthy winner, but Dawn was a solid second place on the most recent episode. And I think only from here her trajectory can rise because the judges loved her. She got a ton of content about her look, about how she was going to kill the challenge, and then she went ahead and she killed the challenge. And I think with comedy challenges coming up in the future, Dawn's got a great chance to continue to knock it out of the park with things like that and with her looks going forward. So Dawn is on the rise here at number 5. At number 4 this week, I have Q. Q is somebody who I dropped pretty low last week after peaking at number 2. 2 weeks ago, I dropped her all the way to number 6 last week. And I really think Q was somebody that the producers care a lot about and still do. She earned her rightful win this week, and the fans were celebrating it, which is pretty interesting because last week they were trashing Q for her controversial lip sync win versus Amanda. But like I said last week, Drag Race fans have short-term memory. They don't care about what happened previously, and that's why Q, I think, still stands a great chance. Despite being in the bottom last week, she still has the 3rd best track record. She has the 3rd most confessionals of any of the queens, getting a ton in the most recent episode. And I think that we can only see more from Q. When the judges and the producers save you from a lip sync that you might have lost, that means they really care about you and that they want you to continue throughout the season. So Q is in at number 4. At number 3, I have Saphira Crystal. And Saphira, what were you thinking using your immunity potion? That's what everyone is thinking. And I think the fact that Saphira used her immunity potion is going to light a fire inside of her to keep going, to work harder, to get those wins and really kill it in the competition. At least I hope so. Being from Philly myself, I think that Saphira is a great queen, and I really hope that she continues in the competition. And we got a lot of content from Saphira in the most recent episode, a lot of it revolving around that immunity potion. And with her track record kind of evening out at this point from killing it at the start, I think she's due to start killing it as the season goes on. So that's why Saphira is at number 3. At number 2, I have Plain Jane, who moves into a tie for first place with her amazing track record and is one of the most popular confessional queens of the season. What's interesting about Plain Jane is that she's already getting what is a redemption edit at this point, which is pretty interesting because even the queens on the season were saying, Plain, is this your redemption? Are you already redeeming yourself from the controversial villain character that she was earlier on, especially with a mandatory meeting? And I think with the contestants mentioning that, with the producers highlighting that, they're already getting that in our head that Plain has changed. She's improved from who she was at the start of the season when a lot of the fans were like, oh, we hate Plain. She's such a villain. So I think she's got a great chance to redeem herself and get herself to the finale and potentially get that win. So that's why I've got Plain jumping all the way to number 2 this week. And at number 1, just like the week before, I have Nymphia Wind. Even though Nymphia was kind of a silent character this episode, other than the fact that she was saying, oh, I can't do this, I don't know how to sew, I'm struggling, and the other queens laughing at her for the fact that she obviously could do it. Nymphia was pretty silent in the most recent episode, but still got amazing content about how amazing of a queen she is. She is number 1 on the track record, keeps that number 1 spot now tied with Plain Jane, and I really don't think anyone is touching Nymphia anytime soon. We'll see how she does in some of the future challenges, but I think she is still the one to beat. So what do you think? That is my power rankings for the week. Do you think Nymphia is going to take the crown? Is Plain Jane getting redemption? Is Maya part frog? Let me know in the comments.